What's going on, everyone? It's Millen here from True Horizon AI. Today, we're going to be discussing the top 3 mistakes that my AI agency made that cost us millions of dollars. No, that's not an exaggeration. Probably if we hadn't had made these mistakes, we would have closed multiple six-figure deals way earlier on in our agency journey, and all of those deals would have totaled multiple millions of dollars. And so these are going to be all of the lessons that we learned the hard way so that hopefully you don't make these same costly mistakes and you can scale your AI agency extremely quickly. Now, why trust these lessons? Why trust this video? These are lessons learned from over $2.5 million in sales in less than 8 months for our AI agency. This is over 25 client engagements from pre-revenue startups all the way up to multinational enterprises. Everything in here is 100% practical. Again, these are lessons that myself and my 2 co-founders, Nate Herk and Tyler Baughcome, learned the hard way in the trenches. And so just a little bit of context. Again, our AI agency scaled extremely quickly. We had tons of leads coming inbound from my co-founder's YouTube channel. And so we were able to capitalize on this success. However, we made several critical mistakes that costed us, again, millions of dollars in revenue, in lost opportunities, as well as countless hours of wasted effort, which is worth a ton more, to be completely honest. And today we're sharing these painful lessons to help all of you lovely people, AI agency founders, avoid the exact same pitfalls and build much more sustainable businesses. So with that being said, let's jump right into mistake number 1. And mistake number 1 was not performing AI audits upfront. So the problem was we would effectively jump right into scoping out an AI project just like any traditional dev shop would. Now, this is fundamentally flawed when you're discussing any type of AI system because LLMs are non-deterministic. So what does that mean? It means you can give the exact same LLM the exact same prompt and you're going to get different outputs, right? It's impossible to determine with 100% accuracy what the output of a given LLM or AI system would be, which makes it impossible to scope like traditional software. Traditional software, you can tell the client, hey, Mr. Client, here's 5, 6, 7, 8 different features. You can go ahead and objectively check these off, right? These are binary. These are like Boolean true, false features. Either you've coded them or you haven't. However, with an LLM system, it's impossible to do that, right? Because you can say, hey, I'm going to guarantee that the LLM is behaving in this way and try to create an objective checkmark criteria from this that the client can sign off on. However, it's impossible to determine the behavior of these LLMs, right? And so because of this, we structure this very much so like traditional dev shops, project structured as 50% payment up front, 50% payment upon delivery. However, we had many clients withhold that final payment, which just put us into an endless development cycle because there was no way of them actually saying, hey, this LLM is performing exactly how I want it to perform. Thus, the project is completed. Thus, I can send you the second payment. So the impact of this, we had tons of burned developer hours, bottleneck cash flow, made it impossible for us to get predictable revenue. But most importantly, we had frustrated clients that didn't want to come back. And we had frustrated engineers who were basically just getting absolutely burned out. And so pretty big mistake here with scoping a given AI system or AI agency project like traditional software. So we have a few fixes here. First of all, on the technical side, we have objective evaluation criteria that we can now use. So we have things like RAG evals. We can measure cosine similarity. We have different AI eval metrics that can actually tell us, hey, the LLM is behaving how the client expects it to behave. We essentially retrieve a bunch of input-output pairs directly from the client, what they expect the LLM system should output for a given input, and we can write different algorithms using code to actually measure whether or not the system is performing that way. However, the biggest fix here was performing an AI audit up front. Now, this deserves an entirely separate video, but essentially what this does is you charge for the discovery phase so that you can actually map deterministic workflows early on. Turns out most businesses don't need some crazy complex AI agent or some crazy LLM system that has all the latest RAG features. Most businesses can benefit and actually do benefit a lot more from basic deterministic automations, rather than full-on AI systems up front. Once you can put these in place for a business, you can prove ROI, and then you can come in and create some fancy AI agent or LLM system. And so now we run AI audits up front. We charge for this whole discovery process mapping phase. We'll then implement, most of the time, deterministic business process optimization flows that will work 100% of the way, and then we can scope out a much more complex AI agent or LLM system. Again, we can define success criteria up front a little bit stronger, and this just gives us clear expectations and a much faster sign-off directly from the client. So to recap all this, highly recommend not charging as an objective scope-based, project-based pricing model. Highly recommend running an AI audit first, where you can actually map the business processes and then come up with a ROI-backed AI agent roadmap from there. Which leads me to mistake number 2, which was fixed scope projects. Again, like I said, we were charging on project-based, and so these payments were tied to the final delivery, right? Which the massive impact in this was clients delaying payments, developers caught in these scope creep cycles, and agency revenue becoming unpredictable. So now the fix for this was, after we performed the AI audit, which was the fix for mistake number 1, right? We then go ahead and run a monthly retainer model. So we'll put them on an actual solution implementation development retainer model. Now this is much more flexible than a project scope based where you're tied into checkmark criteria and you get caught in that endless cycle. Unlike that model, with a monthly retainer model, you effectively have the flexibility to ship projects, put POCs in place, gather feedback and gather data that way, and you're going to have predictable revenue for your agency. So you know that the money is going to come in, and you can actually go ahead and ship and deliver solutions that are, not expected to be production grade, but you can actually run with POCs and start driving value that way. Tons of positive impacts for this. Obviously, we can have more flexible dev cycles. If the client comes in mid-sprint or mid-dev cycle and says, hey, no, I actually want XYZ feature instead, or this isn't working how I thought, can we remove this from the scope? You can easily do that with a monthly retainer because you can bake that in to your SLA. So you can bake in these types of feature requests based on the resources that you apportion to that given account. And so because of that, everyone's happier because you're getting paid predictably and on time. You're still shipping solutions extremely quickly because you have SLAs that you define with the client, and the client can now flexibly change scope, and you're not mad at that because you're getting paid either way. And so again, the big mistake here was charging on these fixed scope projects. Switching away from this and moving fully towards monthly retainer model, definitely the way to go to overcome this. So moving on to mistake number 3, it was not positioning our AI agency as partners, but we were really positioning ourselves as an AI dev shop. And like I said, clients all really need consulting and strategy first. You're going to get a ton of business owners coming to you saying, hey, I just saw this video. Hey, I just saw that video. Hey, I just saw this headline. Can we do this AI agent? I have some idea in my mind of an AI agent that can go and take over the world. Like literally what the expectations are for an AI agent, that's what the client wants as compared to what's actually going to drive value for the business. Massive mismatch there. And the opportunity to close that gap of expectations is you coming in as a holistic strategy partner, positioning yourself as the chief AI officer or as a functional, AI center of excellence, and coming in and telling them, hey, hold your horses there, buddy. Like, love the ambition, but we can actually create like a really basic deterministic flow that's going to get your team 10 hours a week back first. Then let's build this robot that's going to take over the world. And so really all that is positioning, right? Because it's very easy, especially when you're first getting started. If a prospect comes to you and they're so excited about an AI agent, you want to take that and you want to run with that, right? Because you can sell them that. They are so excited about that. The sale almost writes itself. However, it's really on you as the AI expert to kind of rope them in. And this is like a little bit of like, this is where like the art in sales comes in, because you have to reset their expectations while bolstering their excitement for what's actually possible. And so if you can successfully do that, you have successfully positioned yourself as an AI partner. You're going to be locked in for years to come, right? This technology is not going anywhere. They're going to need an expert by their side. And so that's what this really is all about, right? It's really all about coming in again as that AI partner, not as the dev shop, providing them with the consulting and strategy first, resetting their expectations while making them more excited about where AI is going, and identifying the actual ROI opportunities versus shiny agents. And practically, what does this look like? A lot of it is data infrastructure auditing. What are the moving parts? Are there ETL pipelines somewhere? What data pipelines are running? How is the overall data hygiene such that I can actually build an AI agent that's plugged into your system and is adding value? And then basic business process mapping, right? What manual tasks are folks doing? How long are they doing it? Are they error prone? Do they scale with volume? And I have another video on the entire discovery process that you can watch that goes over this in a little bit more detail, but that's effectively what the positioning of an AI partner is. The impact of us not doing this, again, this is where we really left millions of dollars on the table. Us not charging for the consulting and strategy aspect up front, again, it hurts now because now we charge for it and I'm seeing so much more demand and it's really solving business problems than what we had done before, which was, developing these crazy AI agents that, yes, we developed, but it was impossible to match with the client expectation. Left millions of dollars on the table, wasted countless more hours. All the clients, almost every single client actually that we've worked with so far, except for a few, have had really poor data hygiene, which really slowed down the project. Now, again, this is a key data point for you as the AI partner to uncover, right? Again, what does the data infrastructure look like? And so that's exactly what the audit portion is for and why you come in as an AI partner. Before you agree to any development, you actually run the audit because you can identify whether or not they have poor data hygiene. And if they do, you can then charge to actually go ahead and clean that up and get them AI ready, right? If you dive right into development and they have a non-robust data infrastructure, just trust me, you're going to be in for hell. And we can honestly just leave it at that. And again, missed chance here to shape strategy at the executive level, continue to build that kind of long-term partnership with the client. And so the fix here, we totally reframed, right, as holistic AI partners coming in as the fractional chief AI officer, built in a consulting and strategy phase into almost all of our engagements. And we have now monetized our upfront strategy, which gives us more revenue, builds higher trust, but most importantly, gets us much better delivery for when we do end up tossing the client onto a developer retainer. And so this is some actual sauce right here. Like, this AI partner model is so massive. This is the future of AI agency. This is the future of AI services. It's not, let me go in and run this N8N template and deploy it for you and hope it provides value. It is, let's come up, let's do a few weeks or even a couple months of strategy and planning, of data infrastructure mapping, of building out an ROI-backed AI agent roadmap before we write a single line of code or even touch or open up an N8N workflow. And this really is what is going to make a ton of AI agency owners a ton of money if they can successfully position themselves as partners, not agencies. You come in, you do the AI audit, you identify the places of AI of high ROI for AI agents, and then you go ahead and toss them onto a developer retainer on a monthly subscription. So that is the brunt of it. And again, how to avoid these $1 million mistakes. You really want to come in with clear success metrics, right? You don't want to do the project-based pricing. You want to run an AI audit up front to remove all the ambiguity from a scope so that you know exactly what it is you're building, you know exactly what it takes, and you get paid for that up front. You want to have the monthly retainer pricing for that predictable revenue, building long-term value, and allowing the flexibility and ambiguity of LLMs to naturally come into the scope, and you can handle that with grace. And again, positioning yourself as an AI strategy partner. You're selling your partnership, you're selling impact, you're selling competitive advantage. You're not just selling software or engineering work. And again, these mistakes nearly sank our agency, but fixing them absolutely transformed our business. In fact, we have a pretty insane graph where the first 4 months of our business, we were doing well-ish, like revenue-wise. Like, we're doing enough to like pay the co-founders and pay the team and like kind of stay profitable. But we were just getting destroyed by hours of work. And then in month 5, we effectively had this switch to AI partner model, and from there, our revenue has actually just skyrocketed. And we're targeting 250K MRR by the end of the year. It's extremely possible that we surpass that at this rate. And so I probably need to update that projection because it's looking like we're going to surpass that. And again, I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that to essentially say that this AI partner model really is the way to go. It really is the future. And if you implement these changes, just like we did, we've created a more sustainable, much more profitable, much more impactful AI company that's delivering true value to clients while maintaining those healthy margins and team satisfaction. And you can effectively do the exact same thing. And so with that being said, I believe that's my last slide. I really appreciate you watching this video. If you made it all the way here to the end, that's pretty cool. Gonna keep shipping out videos. And so definitely let me know any feedback in the comments. I'm gonna be all over it. If you have any questions, I'll happily follow up and answer anything if anything was unclear. With that being said, really appreciate your time, and yeah, peace.